Hi everyone, Bear from Bear Reads Books. I'm going to be looking at the newbie tag today. So here we go. Question 1. Why did I start this channel? I started this channel because I love reading. And I just wanted to be able to share that love and passion with other people. My love of reading doesn't explain why to start a YouTube channel or why to start a BookTube channel. So why do that? Why would anyone do that? Put themselves through the stress of speaking to camera and coming up with something meaningful to say week after week after week. I don't know. I love learning new things. I love technology, research, and just learning about new stuff. So my love of research and technology, as well as my love of books, this seemed to be a natural progression. 2. What are some of the fun and unique things that I can bring to BookTube? Well, as a middle-aged guy, fun and unique are not the things I generally hear. But my love of books, I hope, is infectious to you and to everyone that comes and sees my videos. And I'm unique because I read so widely. I can read in YA and children's fiction. I can read in literary fiction and everything in between. I also read lots of non-fiction, comic books, graphic novels. I read so many different things, even essays. So I'm happy to share all of that with you. If it helps you broaden your reading, then I've achieved what I set out to do. But fun? Hopefully my infectious nature and my infectious love of books transfers to you. That's my hope. 3. What am I most excited about with this new YouTube channel? Is really just trying something new. Everything is new. Playing around with the camera is new. Doing the editing is new. Speaking to camera is new. So this is what I'm most excited about. What I'm also excited about is becoming part of this BookTube community. Being a part of a community is so important to me. It's what drives me at work and in my family, in my local community. So it's going to drive me here in BookTube as well. I need to feel part of a connected community of readers, and that's what you are. 4. Why do I love reading? Well, that's a big question. As a child, I was very, very shy, and that shyness lasted right into my 20s. I've come out of my shell a little bit since then, but really, at heart, I'm an introvert. So 1, reading was a way for me to transport myself out away from uncomfortable situations where I had to talk to people. But 2, reading also brought me into a new community, a community of people just like me that I didn't even know existed. So when I did start talking to people about the books I was reading, I found that there were others like me out there in the world, and I was astounded. But my love of reading is also connected to my love of research and discovering new things. The way in which a character is built, the way in which a world is built. These are so fascinating to me. And so it's not just the world that I can step into when I read, but it's the craft of writing and the effort that writers go to create something for me, the reader. And that makes me feel so special. And that's why I love reading. 5. What book or book series got me into reading? So at the earliest of ages, it was the Hardy Boys. We're talking pre-teens, the Hardy Boys and their wacky adventures to solve crimes. I read pretty much constantly, solely the Hardy Boys. And then this was at a time when new Hardy Boys books were released every few months. So as soon as a new Hardy Boys book was released, my mum would take me to the bookshop and I would get it, or they were on pre-order. So as a 10 or 11-year-old, I was grabbing a new Hardy Boys book as soon as it hit the shelves. So excited. Hardy Boys. And then as I grew a little older, I transferred my love of reading to comic books. And I could nerd out on comic books for an awfully long time, and I'll try and do a BookTube video for you just on my comic book collection because I still have them. So starting in the mid-80s, I started collecting Marvel. So my favourites were Iron Man, Spider-Man and X-Men. And I still have about 1,000 comic books in hopefully reasonable condition, tucked away in bags and boxes and cupboards all the way all through the house. So I'm going to I'll share those with you at some point in the future. But my love of the Hardy Boys and then my love of comic books kept me reading, because they're short and digestible, and they come out and they're released monthly. So I would race off to the comic book store every month and get my subscribed comic books and consume them as quickly as I could. And then I would spend the rest of my time looking for back issues that could fill my collection. I love comics. From there, that transferred, and that love of comics then transferred as a little bit older into fantasy. And I'm not a big fan of fantasy or even science fiction books anymore. I don't read a great deal of fantasy books. But my first entry into full-size adult novels were through fantasy. No fantasy reading is complete without Tolkien. I started with The Hobbit, and that led to these books, which I still have, which is The Chronicles of Thomas Covenant. 2 trilogies, 2 sets of 3, and the first set was this Lord of Fowl's Bane, the Ill-Earth War, and the Power That Preserves. The Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, the Unbeliever, by Stephen Donaldson. Now these were written as I was a child, so in the 70s and 80s, and they were amazing. And they have this amazing world that just lays out in front of you as this man, not from this world, a human man, is transported to this magical world and just walks around and gets into adventures. Just walk around and get into adventures. 6. What questions would I ask my favourite booktuber? I don't have one favourite booktuber, but there are 2 types of questions I would ask them. One, I would ask them for a book recommendation. So, you knowing me, what book would you recommend to me? I love giving people book recommendations, when they ask, of course. I would like to ask other people to give me a book recommendation. And if you give me a book recommendation, I'm happy to read it. I'm excited to read it. The second question I would ask would be technical questions about the craft of creating videos. I'm still very new to this. I have my camera and that's about it. So I want to know how you do this and how you do the editing, how you do the audio, how you do your titles and your music. I want my videos to look the best they possibly can. And at the moment they don't do that, but I would ask technical questions. 7. Finally, what challenges do I see in starting this brand new channel? For me, the biggest challenge will always be time. I have a full-time job, I have a family, and time is always going to be the biggest challenge. I have other commitments in my life as well, and I've set some of those aside so that I can have a go at making a YouTube channel. And I want to be able to make the best go at this that I possibly can. But for me, time will always be the biggest challenge. And that's my BookTube Newbie Tag. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back really soon with more books. And until then, I'm Bear. See you soon.